Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I am very excited to finally address a problem in the movie room that has just been driving me insane since day one of building this room. I think I've talked about this in previous videos very briefly, but I'm going to be fixing this shelf behind me. Now the camera and I are like usually flipped around, so this is kind of like what I see when I'm recording videos. This wall I don't really do a whole lot with. This is kind of my like general wall of like comedies, romance, action type of films. Stuff that I don't necessarily like gravitate towards all that much. It's kind of like, I mean, I have my boutique section and I have horror and horror VHS and sci-fi, and then like my director section and like all my other formats and TV shows and whatnot. But this wall behind me, I don't really watch that many movies off of. It's a kind of a lot of like, I mean, I have like my James Bond films. I'm trying to think my just general 4K titles in here. So like Rambo and Apocalypse Now and stuff like that. So it's not really a wall that I really, watch a lot of stuff off of. One thing I really don't like about this wall is that I had to modify these shelves over the years to fit different environments. And so in one of my old videos, I showed a clip of my old apartment where I had to modify the shelves to fit around a window. And so I had to kind of cut out this whole middle section. You can kind of see it. But unfortunately, when I did that, it weakened the shelves a lot. And so my solution for in here to maximize my space was I had just this little section right here to basically fit in where the window would have fit. But I've never liked how this actually fit. It's just, it doesn't look great. I've just never really liked it. And so basically what I want to do is cut out this middle section and make that middle section just its own shelf. And so there'd be 3 individual shelves on this wall instead of being like 2.5 kind of. So that's been driving me crazy basically ever since I built this movie room. And so that is what I'm going to do today. So the first step is to remove all of these movies off of the shelves so I can actually, disassemble them, and I have to cut part of them, and I'll get all into that later. But this should be an interesting process though, because there is a ton of movies that I have to move, and I don't have like a ton of space down here to stack them up. So I guess we're just gonna kind of roll with it and see what happens. Now, unfortunately, I do have to remove this, this is a blanket fort for Hazel the cat. Currently, she is sound asleep in there, but I made this for her because she always likes coming down here when I'm watching movies, and so I just gave her a spot to nap. But unfortunately, it does have to get taken down temporarily when I get to this row of movies. So the bottom 2 rows, I have to take it down because this whole wall has to come down. About halfway done with simply just moving the movies from this area to the area over there in the movie room. I'm around N in the alphabet, but as you can kind of even see here, this doesn't look even right here, and this might be a better representation what I'm trying to explain why I am changing this out. So as you can see, this is its own shelf unit right here, that just these few shelves, and I would like this to basically have 3 separate units all together. And you can kind of see over, and I think you can see that in the video, how it like starts wider over here and then gets thinner in the middle and then wider back on the other side. And I've tried to fix this. I've actually, this shelf I've lifted a little higher. You might be able to see, or I'll insert a clip here of a closer shot. But these, there's like these side pieces that I added on, trying to, make it as high as possible to still match the other, like the overall just like look of all these shelves. But I am still just like not happy with it. And so I'm going to be building a new shelf for this, and hopefully it'll just all around just be like a better wall. One thing too that I should mention in this is that I want to declutter this wall. I talked about curating my collection within the horror films a couple of videos back, and I've mentioned it a few times now, but I want to do the same thing to this wall behind me, because even as I'm moving stuff from here over to the other side, I'm really questioning, I'm like, why do I have this still? Some of the stuff, it's been in my collection for years, and I've never watched it, and I really have to ask myself if I'm ever actually going to sit down and watch this. And so I did have a shelf within my room, kind of near the TV, that had a bunch of movies that were like, watch once, get rid of type of deal. And so I recently put those in order, where I like went on to a Letterboxd and just kind of looked at the star rating that people gave them. I feel like that kind of gives like a pretty accurate representation of if the movie is good or not. And so I've just been skipping through scenes in some of them, and a lot of them, actually most of them, are ones that I am getting rid of. And so it feels good to just keep decluttering this room, because as you can see in the videos, there is a ton of movies. I mean, I think I don't really realize how many movies are sitting on this shelf until I am taking them all off and piling them up on the other side of the room, because it is a ton. It is absolutely insane. And yeah, there's stuff in here too that I've watched once and I'll probably never watch again. And so I would rather that go to somebody that's, they could appreciate it more. And I have plenty of things to watch. I mean, I have Criterion and horror and all my different boutique labels. I have all those Laserdiscs that I just purchased. And I think I would rather be spending my time watching stuff like that. Stuff that is, more obscure, more like, old, or just, maybe some foreign films, and just stuff like that I would rather be spending time, and space too. Space is another factor. I mean, there is not that much space down here. I mean, it's a whole basement, but it still fills up so quickly. And so it feels good to the thought of decluttering. And so after I build this shelf, I will be going through, before I put the movies back on the shelf, and probably decluttering. So that's where I am, but I'm going to jump right back into taking all these movies off the shelf and moving them over there. So yeah, I guess, and keep enjoying the time lapses. Well, the time has come to unfortunately take down Hazel's house. So I am sorry, Hazel, but your house has to be taken down for now. But I will put it back up once I am done with this whole project. So, say goodbye for now. Okay, so now that I have all of the movies off, that took way longer than I wanted it to. I have to essentially disassemble. I'm going to start with that side and then disassemble this side. So the first step is to get this thing, the middle piece, out, and then maybe build the next, like my middle section, because I will be using some of the boards off of this shelf for my the new piece of the shelf. If you are curious on how I do build these shelves, I will link it down below. I did a video talking about how actually I built this shelf right here. And so basically the exact same way, where I notch each board, and that way the shelves are much stronger, and if I need to disassemble it and then reassemble it, it is so much more easier to do it that way. It takes a little bit more effort, but I do think it looks nicer. And I go over basically all everything how I go about building each individual shelf. So I already did that for this new one. Yeah, if you are curious, just go follow the link in the description. And this is what it looks like completely empty. There's a few little things on the bottom there, but some of those are just blank VHS tapes and stuff. But I'll move those in a minute. But this is pretty much what it looks like with nothing on. So there was a lot of films on here. I'll actually take you to the other side of the room. Don't mind all of the mess everywhere, but that is the pile of films that I have that would actually go on that shelf. So you can kind of see it's like a little over a foot tall per stack, and there's 3 rows plus a little extra here, but there's just a ton of movies here that it's a mixture of romance, action, drama. I'm trying to think what other genres, comedy, and there's Disney and kids movies. There's like good bad movies, directors films, just all kinds of fun stuff. And then I have some box sets over here that were on top of the shelf. So that'll kind of give you an idea of how many movies are currently on the floor. But I am very excited to actually go through and declutter all of this, because I'm already seeing films in here that I will probably never watch, or I don't really care to ever watch. So it is exciting, and I'm very excited to redo this, because as you can see, that it looks so ugly. So I'm very excited to redo this. So I'm going to jump into disassembling this. Part that I actually am kind of trying to figure out in my head as I go along. This is the part that I didn't really know exactly how I'm going to do this or go about this, but somehow I need to detach these bottom 5 shelves from this side of the shelf, but ideally leaving these pieces in place. Now this one side, I think it might be, yeah, it's in frame. This one side is all one piece. This side, there's this piece, and then there is this piece over here, which is out of frame. But I essentially need to trim these 5 shelves down to the length of these shelves. And I'm not really sure how I'm going to do that. So, I think I should just start by taking off as many of these bottom shelves as I can. This one is going to be a little complicated because this side is kind of resting on it. So I might have to put something underneath it while I go and trim these shelves. But so stay tuned, because I am also making this up as I go. So hopefully it turns out okay. Okay, so that was actually a lot easier than anticipated. But as you can see, this now is taken apart. I have to go and trim these boards in the garage. And then eventually I have to do the exact same thing to this side. But basically I have to just measure out this length and cut those boards to the same length. But then I have to assemble it right over here, which actually should work out fairly well. But yeah, let me go cut those boards. Okay, so now I cut down these shelves to the length that I wanted them. So now the next step is just to reassemble the shelf and put it back against the wall. Okay, so I have the first shelf built. Now, one small thing that some of you guys may have noticed, these two pieces right here, the top side piece and the bottom side piece, are not actually connected. So there is like a little like gap. But what I'm planning on doing is once I have the middle shelf put in place, I'm just going to run a screw through the top and the bottom here just to connect that to the middle shelf. That way it's all one piece kind of. But overall, I am very happy with the way that looks. I think it came out very nice. Now, I think the next step is going to either do the same thing on the other side or build my middle section. So I have to decide that still. But I think I'm going to take a quick coffee break and yeah, just figure out exactly what my next move is. So I think what I'm going to do actually is take down this wall behind me. I feel like it's going to make more sense to cut this to length before I build my my new shelf. That way, you know, I can cut this to length, then put in the new shelf or build a new shelf, put that in, and then put this one up against the wall as well, because I'm like 99% sure everything's going to fit. But this one behind me is one that I could technically have a little bit of wiggle room like this way. So it could move that way just a little bit if needed. But once I build that middle shelf, that's going to basically, you know, nothing can move that way anyway. So I'm going to cut this to length, put it together, but not attach it to the wall yet, and then build my middle shelf, put that one in, and then put this one up against the wall. So hopefully everything works out, but I'm going to get to disassembling this shelf now. Okay, so I have to go cut these to length, but this shelf is out and it is on the ground. I did forget, this shelf is bigger than this one, so all of my boards will be slightly bigger. What I probably should have done in hindsight, I probably should have seen if those bottom boards were long enough in here. I would have probably only had to trim them slightly, probably dealing with less waste overall, that I maybe could have used some of those pieces for another shelf, but oh well, too late now. Thankfully, this type of wood is fairly cheap. I think it's like, I don't know, $3 or $4 a board. So it's really not horribly expensive, but I kind of wish, now that I thought about it, I wish that I basically just saw if like what the difference in length would have been. But oh well, can't go back. So time to go cut these boards to that length. Okay, so now that I got this shelf built, next is to build my new middle shelf. Now, theoretically, if I did all my measurements right, it should fit just right in between these. But just to make sure, that's why I did not attach this one to the wall yet. Because if I need to move it over one way or the other, I will have a little bit of room to do so. So now I just have to disassemble the old middle shelf thing and bring in the new pieces that I already cut and stained. Again, if you are curious on how I do all that and all the measurements and everything, check out the video in the description. That is a much more detailed video on how I build these shelves. But yeah, I'm just going to go get those pieces and start assembling the new shelf. So I have the middle shelf built, and it is not attached to the wall yet, but it seems like everything is lining up perfectly, which is fantastic. So yeah, I guess I will get it attached to the wall, and I guess after that I'll be able to start putting some movies on. But the thing is, with the movies, it's going to take some extra time to just, to put them on, mainly because I'm going to have to go through, and I want to go through and curate all of those movies and really decide if it is worth putting back on the wall or not. Ideally, at some point in the future, I don't know when this would be, but the background that you see in most of my other videos, I would like that, this little U-shaped area. I kind of want that to be all boutique stuff. In a perfect world, it would be all Criterion, and then there'd be a ton of Arrow and a ton of Kino and a ton of Scream Factory, and all of the different boutique labels. But that is so far in the future that I don't know if that will ever happen. Because boutique stuff is very expensive, unfortunately. But and then along with that, I want this to be eventually the horror wall. So this entire wall would just be all my horror movies, and I think it would look really, really cool. However, I don't know what that practically looks like yet, mainly because I don't have enough boutique stuff to fill where all of my horror movies currently are. So I still have plans in the future of how to basically rearrange some things within this movie room to get it just how I want it. But that's kind of future plans, so that really has no relevance in this video at all, but I figured I'd mention it. So I'm going to get this attached to the wall and yeah, start putting movies on. Hey guys, it is the next day. Yeah, so I think my next move with all of this is to start putting things back on the wall behind me. Now, I mentioned this already in, I guess earlier on in this video, that I want to actually curate this collection of films behind me. And so I want to actually go through and pick out movies that I genuinely just don't think are adding that much value to my collection. Stuff that has been sitting on the shelf for multiple years that I've just never gotten around to watching, or stuff that I've watched maybe once and I probably will never watch again. And so I'm not going to film me going through everything, because this is probably going to be a pretty long process. I'm not even going to probably do a time lapse or anything like that. So I will, do another clip once I do all that, and I'll show you the pile of movies that I intend to get rid of, or maybe do a little bit more research on. But yeah, I'm going to do that as I'm putting stuff on the wall, and so I guess the next clip you'll see most of the wall already filled. So I'm going to go do that. So I have all of the DVDs, Blu-rays, and 4Ks at least on the wall, off the floor from the other side of the room. They are kind of loosely put on here, so there's a ton of space in between each shelf. I also left a bunch of space right at the front where the 4K start in the one corner. So my plan is, because I figured this would be easiest to go through and actually curate, would basically leave a bunch of room and then go through each movie, and as I want to keep, I put all the way up against the wall where it's going to stay, and then as I get rid of, just make another pile over on the other side of the room. I was going to just do it on the floor over there, but I just did not have the space to do that. Also, if I am doing laundry currently, so that is the noise that you might hear. I'm not sure if this is picking it up or not, but I have the dryer going on, so that's if the audio quality is bad. But so I'm just going to basically go through and decide what I'm going to be keeping and what I'm going to be getting rid of. And another thing that I've been going back and forth on, if I'm going to be adding the label of Anchor Bay into my boutique labels. Now, if you do watch my channel, you know that I have an entire section dedicated to boutique labels, and I've been going back and forth if I want to add Anchor Bay as a label or not. I feel like it is a very interesting company, and so it started off as a boutique label, and then it kind of slowly turned into not a boutique label, in my opinion, at least. And this is also research that I've been doing too. So I might be pulling those aside as well. Haven't quite decided on that yet. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. I probably won't do a time lapse for this part just because it's going to be not that interesting. Plus, I want to, listen to music while I'm doing this. So, yeah, I'm going to go get all that done. And that is pretty much it. As you saw in those little clips, that I pretty much put everything back onto the wall. I have a decent stack of things that I will be getting rid of, or I should say I'll be going through to potentially get rid of. Some of the stuff in there I just do not have any desire to ever watch, or stuff I've seen before that I don't really care about watching again. And so that freed up almost the entire bottom row of this this whole shelf. And I also just love the look of it. I think it looks so much better than what it did before. And I don't know, it looks better. The shelves look stronger, and I'm very happy with everything how it turned out. So yeah, I guess follow me over on Instagram. Eventually, I will be posting a photo of everything that I'll be potentially getting rid of, and asking you guys if there is anything in there, any hidden gems that I may be getting rid of. I did the same thing with my horror movies, and you guys were very helpful with that. So if you are curious with the things that I will be getting rid of, just follow me over there, and you will see that eventually. So yeah, but thank you guys so much for watching. I know this video was a little different. It kind of was all over the place, and I was filming between my phone and the camera, and so hopefully it all turns out okay, and hopefully the audio quality is fine and everything. So fingers crossed. But thank you guys again so much for watching. I do appreciate it. And I will see you guys all in the next video. Bye.